Please help support the channel by visiting our Amazon store for products like the 5500K ring light, perfect for making YouTube videos. Affiliate link below. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and this weekend Star Wars came out. If you didn't hear, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard. My channel's been pretty active talking about it, and of course, it's been divisive, right? It's been divisive for a multitude of reasons. I'm not going to go into that. I have a few videos on it right now. But that being said, what we know about Episode 9 is just that it has a working title. That would be Carbonado. And that is what J.J. Abrams is using to pitch the film to LucasFilm, which he already did. So we don't know much about that, but we will know more about that as time goes on. But what we don't know, or what we're getting a little bit of info on, is whatever Rian Johnson is planning with this new Star Wars trilogy that Lucasfilm gave him. Apparently, Kathleen Kennedy was very happy with the final cut of the film, so she offered him this new trilogy where he would write and direct the first film, write and produce the second and third, and it would be something separate from the episodes, the Skywalker Saga. But if you've seen the movie, you know that it doesn't matter anymore. And I'm not super thrilled about the guy who ended a particular saga the way that he did, if he can handle a trilogy, because he wrapped up 2 movies into one. Okay, I'm getting off topic. I'm getting mad again. The point is, Rian Johnson is a competent director, but I don't think a very good writer. And I want to just get that out of the way right now. Case in point, look at some of the plot points in Star Wars. Let's go into what he was talking about before we go into this whole thing. So I just don't want to get too much off track here. So in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he did talk about where he's at right now in the development phase of this new trilogy. And this is what he says. I'm at the very beginning trying to come up with it. And honestly, timeline-wise, I'm not sure yet. In a way, it's interesting, but in a way, it's the least interesting part of it to me. I'm more thinking of what's the story going to be? Who is it going to follow? What elements is it going to have? What kind of drama is it? My head right now is more in that place. I haven't really gotten into it. Right now, I'm mostly excited about the potential and starting to form little clusters of ideas of what it might become. So ultimately, it didn't give us a great deal of information, but we kind of know where his head's at. We also know that this won't be anything to do with Darth Revan or the Knights of the Old Republic. That's already been said, but at the same time, that could change. The response to the film this weekend, I am sure, is going to definitely influence where things go. I have a feeling that the response of the audience based upon certain plot choices is going to definitely kind of influence things. But when it comes to the story itself and where he's saying, like, what kind of drama is it? We know, okay, good, he's focusing more on drama, hopefully less on comedy. Doesn't necessarily need that. And the movie, I think, suffered as a result of trying to be funny when instead of letting it happen naturally. Yeah, there are comedic moments in the films, but it felt more slapstick at times. Look at the opening of the movie with Poe and Hux and that whole, like, oh, can you hear me? I can't hear you conversation. It came across as forced and really did a poor job of setting the tone of the film itself. So again, when it comes to Rian Johnson as a writer, one of my friends, Izzy Nobre, made a comment about he likes to create conflict and then fails upon delivering on it. Case in point would be Looper. In Looper, he creates the idea of time travelers going back in time, or people going back in time to be murdered by loopers, but then when loopers get old enough, they are then killed by their younger selves or just sent back in time and killed. And it's kind of a really idiotic concept, and that was where Izzy was talking about that. But my takeaway, though, was the whole situation involving telekinesis, the TK. That particular plot point that was simply used only to make the kid that Joseph Gordon-Levitt was going to be protecting more interesting. It was creating a conflict, creating a plot point that ultimately had no impact on the film itself. And that, quite frankly, can be very much seen in some of the stuff with The Last Jedi. Take case in point, the casino scenes. Those very little to do with the overall plot. In fact, because that stuff happened, there was a lot of consequence that could have been easily avoided had they gone another direction or told a different version of that story. And so that, again, is my fear when he's trying to create this trilogy. Will he be spacing it out? Will he be trying to condense 2 movies into one in order to make this more of a 6-film epic versus a 3-film trilogy? And are his decisions going to be influenced by any of the writer's room? at Lucasfilm? Or is Kathleen Kennedy just going to give him what he wants and send him on his way? Because at this point, they don't really know what they want to do. And I think that's part of it. I think part of what's going on with these films is that Rian Johnson is being given this blank check because Lucasfilm has run out of ideas. I really do. I really think they've run out of ideas. And I say that because, you know, the Solo movie had problems, right? Rogue One had production problems. You know, I mean, like, these movies have had issues. You know, look at episode 9, Colin Trevorrow leaving after them trying to, you know, coming to a point of just butting heads over what to do with the story. And of course, the Book of Henry's failure at the box office definitely influenced that decision. Kathleen Kennedy is trying to retain control over her production studio, and I think she's having trouble. I don't think they know where to go with it. I think that's why, I have a feeling that is very much why episode 8 is the way that it is. Whereas they had the plot points they wanted to hit, and Rian Johnson had to get them there. I think that's how the whole thing worked out, and ultimately it just didn't work. It didn't fire on all cylinders in many different ways. That's one space scene, you know what I'm talking about. So essentially, that's where I think things are at right now. So they're giving him this as a way to let him do his own thing, let him create his own world and play within that sandbox that's not going to be part of the overall saga narrative. Because after episode 9, where are they going to go? Are they going to end it? Are they going to continue the story? Daisy Ridley has said she's not going to be back after episode 9. So who knows? So we'll have to wait and see. And again, as soon as I know more about this, I will talk about it. I'm always going to try to give the creators the benefit of the doubt for a new project. This movie just bothered me in many different ways, and I've talked about that extensively, and I'm sure you can find those videos on the channel. But I also want to know your thoughts about this. Do you think this is enough to get the, you know, do you have faith in him to be able to create a new trilogy? Do you think, based upon what you saw out of The Last Jedi, he'd be able to actually make it work? Or do you think that this is just another dumpster fire waiting to be ignited? Let me know in the comments below. Also, be sure to thumbs up the video if you guys want to, and subscribe if you're new. And if you want to see more videos from me, you can do so right now.